Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today, February 16th, Hump Day, even though the humping was done on Monday. The man they call Meathead, the man they call Matthew Thomas. I feel I need to clarify. I clarified to Linda yesterday morning. When I say you're my wrestling lover, you're a lover of wrestling, Matthew. Am I right?
I am a lover of wrestling, and I got something else on Valentine's Day that I'm also a big fan of, and you know this very, very well. And we've talked about different options and different holes in the restaurant game, if you will. I got to say, and I know they're not a sponsor, but I got to give a ringing endorsement to the Black Eyed Pea restaurant because I had a wonderful meal at the Black Eyed Pea restaurant. And you know what I was able to get at the Black Eyed Pea restaurant is a side dish that I don't know if you can get as a side dish anywhere else in the country.
What was it? Your humps?
Stuffing. That's right.
Oh.
A fine eatery establishment that has the greatest side dish / main course you can get anywhere. Some great-minded individual has put stuffing on the menu. And
wow. So they've got it on the ready.
They've got it on the ready. You know, you can order it. It's only listed as a side, but I want to, next time I go, I want to give a proposition to them. It's like, hey, what's it going to take for me to get a plate full of stuffing and work that out? Because, I think there's definitely that market there. I mean, there are people like me that will definitely eat that as a main course or give me different options. Give me different stuffing options, man. But, they're not quite there yet, but it's glad to see somebody in this country is going that stuffing ride that I've been talking about for a long time.
Well, there you go. And then you said that they weren't a sponsor yet. Who is our sponsor?
Collar and Elbow brand. If you do wear it to the Black Eyed Pea restaurant, make sure you get a bib or take very good care of yourself.
Fergie like the hostess?
And what's that?
Is Fergie the hostess?
I didn't catch her name. I'll have to. She did a very good job, but I'll have to check and see what her name is.
That stuffing was Fergalicious.
Next time, yeah, I'll go that route. But promo code Linda K saves you 10% on your collar and elbow order, and you can potentially use that money to buy more collar and elbow stuff or more stuffing, if you will. collarandelbowbrand.com.
Matthew, if you keep eating the stuffing, you'll have to get more collar and elbow because you stuffed your shirts to the point where you need a new one.
Hey, man, it might very well be worth it, though. That's the collarandelbowbrand.com, the only place to buy your clothing. I don't know why anybody would need to go. Well, I don't know if they sell pants or not, so you might need to buy pants somewhere else if you wear pants. But as far as stuff to cover your top half, collarandelbowbrand.com.
Nothing better than wearing your collar and elbow and eating stuffing at the Black Eyed Pea restaurant.
Yes, indeed.
All right. We record these, and they go out on the air 7 Eastern, 6 Central a.m. every Monday through Friday, right, Matthew, these podcasts?
Right. Yep.
The news broke right after the show was put out there, and honestly, we're going to talk about NXT Vengeance Day from last night, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the elephant in the room here. The breaking news that happened after we went off the air yesterday. Cody Rhodes, Brandi Rhodes, no longer associated with AEW. Let's start off with the facts first. Cody Rhodes and Brandi Rhodes and Tony Khan both tweeting out official basically statements. You guys have had the day to read these, so I'm not going to go into deep detail, but I'm going to tell you that this is Cody's in a nutshell. I'm just going to paraphrase here. He's loved this time at AEW. He's loved the locker room. He's loved the fans, loved the people. The revolution was indeed televised, and it's been incredibly lucky to be part of it. He wants to thank Tony Khan. He's taken the baton and run with it. He's also thanked a lot of the workers, thanked the likes of the original, people, the EVPs, if you will, the Kenneth Omegas, the Chris Jerichos, the Young Bucks, those guys. And, really, it was just a very clean and a very professional statement out of Cody. AEW statement, which you may have read as well. Cody and Brandi Rhodes were integral to the launch of All Elite Wrestling. Cody's ability, combined with his boldness, his passion for the industry, and a love for community outreach, helped deliver on the mission. And Brandi helped us shape the AEW story and appreciate how hard she fought for us in the ring and out of the ring, competing in the women's division while advancing our efforts at inclusion and civic causes, including great partnerships with Culture City and the American Heart Association. We've seen that all throughout the last month. Tony says he has immense respect and appreciation for Cody and Brandi and wish them both the best as they move on from AEW. Thank you, Cody and Brandi. That is the statement from Tony Khan. And then Brandi with a statement as well. We'll just give you a quick snip here. A heartfelt thank you to every fan that supported me in AEW. It was an honor to be the company's first chief brand officer. Really, folks, chief brand officer, Stephanie, I believe, does that as well. But really what it means is to make the name AEW more synonymous with, charitable organizations, to have just a positive light on the name. She said she'll see you on the flippity flop, quoting Michael Scott, of course, but Brandi Rhodes. Matthew Thomas, those are the facts. The facts are that it was acknowledged by Cody, by Brandi, and by Tony Khan that Brandi and Cody no longer associated with AEW. We can also go back to the fact that Cody had mentioned in a promo a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was, after a match, when you could see that he was struggling being the face but getting booed out of the building, that he goes, look, my contract got sent to me in the mail and I didn't sign it because I didn't like it when we speculated he might be at Royal Rumble. Was that part of the story? Matthew, where do you stand?
Go back to the statement that he issued month and a half, 2 months, whenever it was, that we were about to go on a bizarre ride. And I can't help but think when you throw that out there, and there was also something else that ended that statement too, in the fact that it was something unusual for the industry, something along the likes the industry had never seen. It's so hard to take this stuff at face value. It is so hard to take this at face value. And I think one of those reasons is because when you think of one wrestler outside of Tony Khan, I'm talking about one wrestler that you think is synonymous with AEW, it's Cody Rhodes. And it is just, it is mind-boggling that the first defection would be Cody Rhodes. And the second half of Tuesday was full of a lot of reporting and a lot of
reacting, speculation,
reports out there that there's a lot of talk with Cody and WWE that this move almost comes synonymous with Cody talking to WWE. That lends itself to me thinking that it is some type of, I hesitate to use the term work, but some type of short-term, perhaps, cooperation between the companies, if the companies are working
like
together.
A Rob Van Dam leaking out of ECW onto Monday Night Raw.
I think that this could potentially be the closest to kayfabe that we've got in 2022. Because here's the thing, I can't remember the last angle that anybody that's been out there that people are as scratching their heads on. No matter who you listen to, no matter who you normally go to break news, to get your wrestling dirt, whether it's DirtySheets.com or one of the other millions of sites out there, nobody knows.
Really, isn't there just one, DirtySheets.com, where you go for dirty sheets?
Yeah, that's your one. Every time I go there, man, like they must be down or something because there's very little wrestling news, if any, on there. But I digress. A lot of people scratching their head. I do say, if Cody, here's my take on it. If we see a WWE announcement or a run, that is going to lead me to think that there is a lot more cooperation, if not straight up work, than anything else, because it's just so hard for me to imagine. And it's just extremely hard for me to imagine Cody would leave AEW and work, no matter what the money was, for WWE, because there is nothing. I don't think there's anything creative there for him in the fact that he's gone to the other side of the fence. He's been integral in starting, this company that I think a lot of people, myself included, almost associate this as Cody's company. I know he's not.
Right, it's definitely not. And that's where I want to kind of jump in here.
Yeah.
It's not Cody's company. Now, there hasn't been anybody that hasn't carried the flag more than Cody when it comes to AEW, because he's the mainstream star that's out there. He's doing the TV shows. He's doing, he's got 2 TV shows. Roads to the Top just got picked up again.
Right.
So that's still going to happen. And that was an in and out of AEW. So is that tied in? Does Cody want to try to make that transition into the Marine 17? I mean, is that why he's going to WWE? Because let's talk wrestling real quick. Let's talk hypothetical. If he goes to WWE, Cody won't be happy being Intercontinental Champion, United States Champion, NXT Champion. I don't think he's happy doing any of those. The only thing that Cody has unfinished business doing in the WWE would be to main event WrestleMania as the world or the Universal Champion. That's the only business left there, right? Is that going to happen? Is he going to beat Roman Reigns? Is he going to beat Brock Lesnar? No, absolutely not. The top, as much as we don't like to talk about it right now, the top of that card on each brand, Cody Rhodes ain't even getting close to sniffing it.
I'm going to throw something else out there, and I don't know where he is at health-wise, appearance-wise, and, much less ring shape. But I think the real unfinished business, the real money angle potentially where both companies could really dial people in. This is the mutually beneficial angle that would get people talking, that would cross those barriers, would be Cody and Triple H, if there's a way they can pull it off and everybody's healthy.
Maybe. But that's not happening at WrestleMania. I think
not at this WrestleMania.
It's not happening at SummerSlam, I don't think.
No. And again, like I said, how long has it been since we've seen Triple H? And I mean, that was by all reports.
Triple H just came back from a cardiac event.
That was a very serious cardiac event as well too. And I mean, that's where my head initially went to, when I heard the news and WWE involvement. I will say this too. I mean, as far as mutually beneficial, is there potentially something in the works for more proprietorship and more ownership of Dusty's legacy? Is that something WWE would be willing to negotiate?
I just said, does he have anything unfinished there? Maybe it's to go get his dad's name.
Yeah.
Because right now we watched the Dusty Cup last night.
Yeah.
And we know that the Dusty Cup for the women's in NXT is starting next week.
Yeah. And
that put one in the column for WWE on that one. That was one that I had not thought of.
Yeah, and here's the talk. The talk, if you're saying Cody's leaving and the talk is WWE at this point, this is a plus move for WWE. It has got a certain segment of the wrestling industry that has been quite dismissive of the WWE, potentially interested in WWE. And here's the thing. WWE is not going anywhere. They're not in financial trouble, but creatively, from a critical perspective, they have been getting whooped by AEW. I think a lot of people in the industry would readily admit to that. And I mean, not that WWE's even concerned about getting additional eyes on them.
Well, they do have 2 nights of 100,000 seat stadium they have to sell.
And here's the thing too, Meathead. I don't know if you saw the numbers for January, but the average attendance at WWE live events, house shows, Raw, SmackDown.
Oh, I bet you they're 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah, was around 4. Around 4,000. And I'll be honest with you. What I saw last week at the the former Pepsi Center Ball Arena now. That's Denver's arena. It's 20,000 capacity for basketball. Now I know Raw with the big screen and stuff.
Let me ask you this real quick. So the butt nuggets are selling out or they're filling up? I mean, for a general Nuggets game.
Yeah, I don't have that data in front of me, but if they did sell out, they could.
So the reason I'm asking that is it not state related? Is it not COVID related that they're not filling the buildings?
No, I don't think, with where Denver is at mandate. Well, I don't think there is any. I don't think we have had any restrictions as far as occupancy in quite some time. And what we're seeing, I think that
or stuffing either. No restrictions there either.
No restrictions on stuffing. You're looking at what WWE can sell, and I mean, it is a different. When I walked from, I guess we actually entered lower level down and then to the floor the other night. I mean, it is a different feel, man. When you have got your top, and they do a good job to the folks that are in charge of, production, or, whether it be arena people there, you couldn't tell there was another upper deck level there. I mean, they tarped that thing off good, man.
Let me throw one more thing out there.
Uh-huh.
And we could spend the whole show on Cody and Brandi, but we got a couple other things. Let me throw one more thing out there. Cody didn't sign the contract, and Brandi's leaving. Do you think, and I'm just floating it out there, I'm not saying that I'm reporting it, I'm not saying that it was reported. Do you think the Dan Lambert, Brandi Rhodes interactions back and forth, but basically calling her a whore and asking why she didn't have a mattress strapped to her back, do you think that was the final straw?
I don't know if it was the final straw, but it very well could have been a significant temperature gauge. And we've talked about this at length on this very program. Like, you have got her out there against who is supposed to be the most booed person in that company, and he is getting the positive reaction there.
Right.
It goes back to the very strange narrative they have been trying to cast with Cody and Brandi. And you thought, I mean, she's going out there getting the name of the city wrong. It came off as, this is what they're trying to do. And yeah, I mean, it was a little bit, the reactions were pretty significant, but I think to a certain extent, the audience is playing along in the fact you're going out here calling this the wrong city. At that point, and the point that I've been at for the last 2 or 3, and it's probably been longer than that, the months, once we've seen things kind of go with Cody, you get the impression this is kind of probably what they want. I don't think what Cody and AEW has been going after is for him to just get, blatantly 100% cheered as a babyface. I think that they were really trying to go into that John Cena-like character, but much more significant in the fact that he could take ownership of what he has done to help build the company. That whole spot where he set himself on fire, that promo where he could literally say, I have literally set myself on fire for you, and this is how you treat me. Man, there is just so much there. And I don't say the past tense in that because I think there is still so much there. And I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine that any of this is necessarily due to any of that reaction because it seems to be what they were going for. I've been a little bit surprised that the fans, have given as significant as a reaction to Cody, mainly because I still look at him as one of the people that instrumental in the startup of the company. But I don't think that would necessarily, I mean, here's the thing. He finally commits to the heel turn. I mean, you have quintessentially the Roman Reigns treatment where I think the bulk of your fans are going to love it. And that's kind of what they're going after. And I think there is definitely a story there to draw it out as long as you can. I don't know, man. And that's what we keep going back to with all these various reports and stuff. It is yesterday, and I'm very happy to say this. Yesterday was as big of a news day in professional wrestling as I have ever seen that was not tragic. You almost have to go back to some type of tragedy where people, you have the reporting, you have the breaking news, this, that, and the other, before you can go back.
It's basically, this isn't obviously mainstream media, but it's basically taken over the news cycle.
Yeah. And, looking, not to mention any by name, but if you frequent, various message boards or whatever to kind of get the pulse on the industry, message boards are seeing levels of comments that I've never seen, as quantities of comments, because people are trying to dissect the news and make heads or tails of it. And we are, especially in this internet wrestling age, very rarely is there something that we're talking about or fans are talking about that you have no idea that, is this a work? Is this not a work? If it's not a work, which sense does it make? How did this transpire? Man, this is the biggest story that I can recall, covering.
I've got one just a little bit less. Let's segue out of Brandi and Cody. Matthew, you and I didn't get to talk Raw.
Yeah.
So I talked it with Linda, and I saw it. I didn't let it sink in. I was more focused on the talk I heard out of Lita. But let's talk about Kevin Owens just blatantly being a heel and trashing Dallas. Who's the savior from Texas that may end up having a match to save Texas?
Yeah, and we actually got the first I can remember of it was last week when we were actually at Raw, and we're turning around watching the promos in between the matches, and
Sure.
Kevin Owens is talking about how much he loves Texas and this, that, and the other, and our thoughts were, my goodness, that's strange. That is an odd promo. I didn't think there was anything of it. I mean, we had started the show, and I know, there's been people that loved it, and it came across really good on TV, but we started with a 25 minute game show. I mean, Raw had a weird feel to us live last week. And again, I didn't think anything of it Monday night when I watched it, but again, reporting that they're trying hard to get Austin involvement there in a physical capacity. And that's where that
Steve Austin hasn't wrestled in 20 years.
No.
Since he lost to The Rock at WrestleMania 19.
Yeah, which would have been 2003, right?
Yeah, 2003. So 19 years he hasn't wrestled.
I'll tell you, man, that's one I'll come right out and say it. That's one I'm uncomfortable with. I mean, he was forced into an early retirement.
But let me ask you this. I know you say you're uncomfortable. We just saw Daniel Bryan return. We just saw Edge return. We're seeing Lita return. Why not Steve Austin?
That feels different, man. I feel very, very far removed from that. And I guess what I go to there was Daniel Bryan. You had seen him in action in this era. Lita, I feel like Lita you had seen in action in this era. That one might be going out a little bit further. Even Edge, man, 2011 compared to 2003, that feels a lot different to me. And where I'm at with Austin is, even if the guy is cleared, even if they say he's good to go, it is
how long a match does he need? 5-10 minutes? Because Steve Austin is entrance, it's glass breaking, it's mud hole stomping, it's Thez press, it's stunner, it's beers.
Yeah. And I mean, and I guess that's also the other concern too, is you do have to make it short if you're going to be safe. And I mean, it's probably going to serve the purpose. You know what? I mean, I think that it will probably be worth it just for the getting there, man, just for the promos back and forth between those two.
I mean, Owens uses the stunner. Austin uses the stunner. Owens just trashed Texas. I mean, if you think I think four names that defend Texas. Well, I mean, that represent Texas. Austin is definitely the Texas Rattlesnake. The Undertaker is a Texas guy. Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, San Antonio. And then you can put in Booker T from Houston as well. So
I'm gonna throw another name out there, and please forgive me for forgetting the name of the brother.
Terry Funk?
No. Von
Erichs?
Von Erich. Yep.
Dude, it ain't happening. Lacey Von Erich will not wrestle.
No. But when you say defend Texas, man, you can't say that without putting a Von Erich in there.
Lacey Von Erich is not wrestling Steve Austin at WrestleMania.
No, not Lacey. What is the brother that we've seen on WWE?
The one that's alive?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Maybe you take all, and he's got some kids, right?
Maybe. But that's not putting butts in seats. Come on.
Maybe a handicap match, man. Kevin Owens versus any Von Erich that wants to step up to the plate.
No. That just got shot down to pre-show.
I'll tell you what, man. If we're
because they need to fill it. No, they need to fill a spot. If Shane McMahon was going to have this big match at WrestleMania, Kevin Owens and Steve Austin fills that spot.
Yeah, it does. And no, I am more than intrigued by weeks of promos back and forth, man. That could be really, really fun.
Okay. Well, we've spent 20-some minutes already running through everything that wasn't NXT. Let's talk a little bit about NXT. We're just going to run through some match results here. The show opened up with Pete Dunne and Tony D'Angelo in a weaponized steel cage match. Tony D'Angelo with the victory. Pete Dunne with the victory over Tony D'Angelo. My apologies. Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta locked up with Toxic Attraction for the women's tag team titles. Toxic Attraction and Mandy Rose, the girls, the women, they're still holding all the belts. In probably the match of the night, Cameron Grimes barely loses to Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes retains the North American Championship. I'm telling you, that crowd was behind Cameron Grimes.
Best Cameron Grimes match I've seen in a long time. I felt And it
Go
was
ahead.
it was very much akin to the version that we actually used to see back in Impact. As much fun as we've had with Cameron Grimes recently, his matches have been more about the character. This was much more of a throwback to a great physical performance.
There you go. MSK and the Creed brothers in the Dusty Cup finals, and the Creed brothers are the new Dusty Cup champions who will get a match against Imperium. Here's what I liked out of this. Imperium came out with Gunther as the crowd chanted Walter, Walter, Walter. Here comes Solo. And Solo said he's going to smack him like a bitch. You know what? I love it. Let Solo and Gunther go one-on-one.
Absolutely. No, I think that's I've got some interest in that.
And then finally, Braun Breaker retains the NXT Championship against Santos Escobar. Boy, Santos looked like a star. He sure did. But it was going to be Braun Breaker with that specialized entrance. So that was NXT Vengeance Day. Unfortunately for them, they got overshadowed by a huge news day.
And in case you were wondering, Cody did not show up on NXT.
He did not. But Dolph Ziggler did.
Yeah, no, and I like the cross section that we're getting a little bit of Ciampa on Raw. My goodness, man, it's good to see him up doing something on the main roster, even if it is an NXT Origin feud. Yeah, keep give me more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely be all in for a Ziggler Ciampa match. Who knows when it's going to happen? The Saturday show, the Elimination Chamber in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, is looking fat and stacked. Not as stuffed as, say, the stuffing in Denver, but it is looking real good. So,
do they have stuffing in Saudi Arabia?
I don't know. Honestly, we're going to make our way to that. But tonight, we've got Dynamite. Last question. Don't take too long on it. I want to hear your answer in 30 seconds. Does AEW acknowledge the Cody Rhodes, Brandi stuff on TV?
I've got to hit the reset button. You said we're going to make our way to that. So we're going to Saudi Arabia. Is that what's implied?
29 seconds.
Okay. My goodness. You have to. I'm so curious about tuning into Dynamite tonight.
It'll be a ratings bump.
To read the room and see. I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I would really like to see. I would like to see them in attendance, and there's actually a literal send-off and an in-ring promo. Highly doubt that it's going to happen, especially if this is a work and you're trying to play up the validity of this. But my goodness, it is going to be such an interesting Dynamite to watch. I think they do. I think whether work or not work, I think
Does Tony come out and say it?
I don't know if Tony does. I'm picturing more of a cut to the announce table, letting the announcers have it. Remember Vince's reaction when Randy Savage left WWF at the time. I'm picturing something like that. Maybe not necessarily from Tony, but maybe from the announce team.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk all about it, but not with you, Matthew. Linda Kay, the lovely Linda Kay, will be with us tomorrow morning. So for Matthew Thomas, Linda Kay, and the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.